Oh, dang.
Table smashed.
What is Arsenal doing in the Premier League now? How many games out are they from winning?
Yeah, I reckon they're probably going to win it now. They've 2 games left.
And how many points clear?
2 points clear.
That's not much.
Not much. So it could all change.
And who's behind them? Man City?
Man City, so...
By 2 points?
Yeah.
Any games in hand?
Nah. So
And who's behind Man City?
Man United, but they're probably 9 points.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, I think it's not even mathematical anymore, but... Are
you hoping they drop points?
My head tells me one thing and my heart...
Because you're a Man United fan, so
you
don't want I assume you don't want Man City to win.
Well, there's a big difference. There's Arsenal fans predominantly annoy me. Like they're the loudest, most annoying fans.
Yeah.
And Man City just have been winning so much, so I'm sort of numb to them winning. It's like another Premier League, fine. Arsenal haven't won it for 20 years, so if they win it, they're just going to be insufferable.
Now what?
But
are you thinking of any of our friends in particular that you?
No, actually, out here they're okay. It's the ones back in the UK.
Ones back home.
They're the annoying ones. You know who you are, Richie.
Richie? Oh, Richie.
Yeah, Richie.
I hope you win, mate. I hope you win it.
But my heart.
Yeah.
Now we've got some brothers in Arsenal.
All right. Now tell me, what do you think? Oh, actually, this is a good question. Do you think the reason Arsenal won that game against West Ham was all the prayers that all those prayers,
all them boys. When the goal went in, they all prayed. They all dropped to their knees.
Did they really? Nah.
Imagine.
In the good and the bad, eh?
Oh,
I reckon they were just like, thanks God, thanks for that.
Oh, definitely after the match.
Yeah, give us something.
I reckon they all converted, the rest of them.
The whole
after
team.
that match.
So I guess this like kind of brings us into the episode today, right? Which what would you title it, Danny?
I think originally we were saying faith in football, something along them lines, but now with the research we've been doing, it's sort of faith in sports as a whole, because your top athletes, your top footballers, everyone we watch now in sport is dedicating to God after the match, or you're seeing these Bible studies pre-match and acceptance award speeches and things, just pointing it to God, goal celebrations. And yeah, I just know conversations I've had with my mates back home, and even if we're watching the football here, after every goal, you're seeing players and players celebrating, and you're seeing it on social media as well, just them putting up their, like, this is all to God, nothing.
So the players are public about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, we'll obviously go deeper into this, but I think social media, maybe that's one good thing that has happened for it, because if you're relying to get your message out from a reporter and they have an agenda of what they want to be heard, then you could say, I had a great day, like great game, but all glory to God. But I'd like to thank the team, and that they could cut out the all glory to God and just say, I want to thank my teammates. This is a team effort, everything. So you don't see the big picture. Social media, they can put what they want, and they're not getting, well, not at the moment, not being censored.
And do you know when they, because you come from England, right? And like you've been watching football for a long time. Do you, well, even just because I don't really watch football much. When, like you said, the players like get on their knees and celebrate?
Yeah.
Do the commentators ever comment on it, or is it just like do they just take it as like, well, like you said, what do you call them? The Bible bros? What do you call them?
The Arsenal team?
Yeah, the Arsenal team.
Yeah, I think they've sort of loosely called themselves the Bible Brothers.
Bible Brothers. Do, like, when the commentators, let's say, who's part of the Bible Brothers, by the way?
Well, yeah, Arsenal have a big following in their team, so off the top of my head, you'd have Madueke and Saka on the wings, probably Martinelli on the other, Gabriel Jesus up front. You'd have...
Is his name actually Gabriel Jesus?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Jesus. You'd have the defenders.
Is that his real name?
Yeah. And then the other Gabriel, you'd have Hincapié, you'd have Mosquera, you'd have Lewis Skelly.
All of them are like...
All of these are Christian.
Professed Christians.
Yeah. A lot of them obviously come from Brazil. They would have African roots.
Yeah.
So... yeah, they would have different pockets of why they are.
Yeah. So when one of them does score...
Oh, and Timber as well. He's probably one of the bigger advocates for the religion, and he really speaks out pre-match, after the match, and I think he actually gathers them a lot more.
And what do they say, like, all glory to God? Like, is it like that? Is it like...
Yeah. Well, I think one of the reporters said to Timber during the Champions League, because in the Champions League, they're the only undefeated team this season in the Champions League. And I think a reporter said, like, what's changed this season? What are you doing? And he just sort of said, like, this is because of us all together. This is like, we pray before matches. We're really tight as a team now. Like, it brings unity to us as a team. And
the coach doesn't have a problem with it?
no, he would love it, obviously. Like, you got a dressing room that are all singing from the same page.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much. Obviously, there's other faiths probably in the dressing room, but when you've got that much unity with 8 or 9 of your main players out of a squad of 11 and then a squad of whatever 20, of course it's going to surely only bear the fruit, because obviously in their success they're going to be glorifying God, but it's more in the defeats and in the times of suffering, in the injuries, in the losses, or if you just concede a goal, it's like mentally you're more like, here's a test, but you're not so driven just by the result of the match for your own benefit. There's something deeper to it, and I think when you can put that to something, I think that's what they're finding, that they can, the bigger picture, it's not down to them, like something big is happening and they're just part of it. And
and we always, like, you remember, like, in our team, for example, we always spoke about, like, 2022 being like the best year. Shout out to Eric Martinez, it was his favourite year ever.
Still relive it every time
he still relives it, you know. And, like, even lately, one of my mates' dads was like, that year, 2022, was just like a special year, you know. And I feel like everyone bought, like, the chemistry was incredible. That was when we won our first grand final. Do you think, like, the chemistry of the players is, like, next to none compared to the other teams because of their faith? Like you said, 9, like, bro, if there's 11 players, like, taking the pitch and you've got 9 of them who are, like, deep in their Christian faith, surely, man, like, it's not like the chemistry is not just built on the pitch, in the change rooms, whatever. They've also got the other element, you know. Like, as a coach, you would, like, that would be like, oh, bro, that's like another added layer of like there's like that solid foundation, like, it can't be broken. And like you said, they're all on the same page.
Yep.
You know, do they lash out? Are they, like, aggressive, or like I know football's an aggressive sport, right? Like, I'm not saying they're bad, they're whatever. But are they kind of like, are they known as like a peaceful team, or not really?
Nah, they're actually pretty.
Well, you know what, Christians, we're not called to be passive either,
exactly.
right?
We're called to fight for our
We're called to fight, man. So, God bless.
Nah, yeah, and once you hit the pitch, obviously, the game's at stake, and we are men, we are humans, we are tribal. But, like, you have that passion that, like, overwhelms you as well. So,
and sport does it. When was the first time do you recall, like, the first time you actually saw a player? Like, because you've been watching football since you were a kid,
life,
right? In England, especially.
Yeah.
Do you remember watching any game, like, where you had your first exposure to, like, a Christian who was pointing towards God in the game?
Yeah.
Like, was it a celebration? What was it? Was it like a post-match interview?
Yeah. For me, I think the obvious one I clearly think back to, and it probably is the most iconic as well, is Kaka, the Brazilian. And he wore the I Belong to Jesus T-shirt and under his AC Milan jersey. So I think it's so iconic that he wore that, and he even wore it to, like, all of the biggest days. So when Milan won the final against Liverpool, I think 2007, and then he won the Ballon d'Or, which is for the greatest player that season in the world. Supposedly,
what year was that?
Maybe 2008, the year after the Champions League. So
that was that long ago. So that was like, oh wow.
I think he even said he wore it under his, like, shirt and jacket. He wore the I Belong to, and then
so that was like
when Brazil won the World Cup.
Like nearly 20 years ago.
They didn't win the World Cup.
That was like nearly 20 years ago.
Coming up to it, makes you feel old. But I didn't have any understanding of like Christianity back then. I just saw he was thanking God, but it didn't really give me any thoughts of why he would do that, or any feelings of should I do that. It was just, I just recall seeing that was probably my first exposure. But then I don't actually recall too many. You get the players that just, like, sort of point up when they score a goal or something like that.
You know, I never know when they're doing that. Like, if they're, like, thanking God, or if they're like, I've got a loved one, assuming they're up in heaven, you know, like, looking down over me, that's dedicated to the love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I actually never know. I'm always
there
like,
probably is both parts.
Then you see, like, people in like club football here in Sydney, for example, and they're doing this. I'm like, are they just, like, you know, impersonating the soccer player?
Yeah.
So they're looking up to someone.
I know. Yeah, you see mad celebrations now. There's I forget what his full name actually is now, the Nottingham Forest striker. he's got like the cross on both of his shin pads, so when he scores, he takes them off and puts them over his eyes. He's just got his 2 crosses.
That's his celebration into the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible!
And
Didn't Eze pray for a hat trick?
Yeah, against Tottenham. So the biggest rivals. I don't think a hat trick had been scored in that game for, I don't know, at least like 50 years or something, probably longer. And then he said, I specifically prayed for a hat trick. And this isn't to say like every prayer, like their prayers wouldn't be specific to, I want this from my match today. It'd obviously be in the larger scheme of things, help my team to do well today, help me to perform at my best ability. But he said for that match, he was like, I know it's a big match and a big rivalry. He was like, Lord, if it's in your will, like, let me score a hat trick today. I've been working on my positioning. And he scored a hat trick. Like, it was
what did he caption his Instagram? Was it like just Jesus or something like that?
I think he literally he does one word. I think it was just Jesus. Yeah, he's just.
That's so funny. How like are the fans receptive to it, or are they like?
I think a bit of both.
A bit of both. Like, is there like? Do you feel like? Is there any like public signs in the crowds, for example, in Arsenal, any of these Premier League teams where they've got like a Christian, you know?
Good question. There might be. Actually,
do you ever see like does a camera ever pan and there's like people just holding signs or something? Nah.
That's the thing. I reckon that they wouldn't try to air it as much as they can. But obviously, when a player scores, like all eyes have to be on him at that moment. They can't cut away to.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy, Dan? Like I remember, like sometimes I'll watch it and it'll pan across and it will have something like. Bukayo Saka, our savior, or something, you know, like he, like our God, the Arsenal. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy? Like they like the players for them are like these massive idols,
of
you
course.
know.
Yeah.
But then the players who they idolize are doing something, countercultural.
We're idolizing a player,
which is like don't focus on me. Focus on the big man.
Some of them, that is their celebration. They're literally they point. They're like me, no, God, yes,
actually,
yeah.
Oh, that's cracker.
But yeah, and then like the list just goes on and on, especially like the Premier League now. The list goes on and on for the players. We said
Simone Biles, the gymnast.
Yeah,
Ryan Garcia, the boxer.
Yeah,
Tyson Fury, the boxer.
Garcia was big this week because there's this whole thing of the UFOs and then releasing pictures of aliens and stuff, like in America, Trump and everyone. And he just
did they really?
Yeah, and he just literally came out and was like, guys, don't get distracted by this. Everyone keep your eyes on God. Only God is going to lead us to eternity. Like, don't get fooled by all of these tricks. Like, he said aliens are demons. He was like, I don't believe in aliens. Like, I honestly believe they're the demons of this world. Like, we're just misinterpreting who they are. But
I think I've heard like Tucker Carlson say something similar on the Joe Rogan podcast.
He sort of shut it down, and after his fights and stuff, he always puts it to God. But even in sort of public announcements, he still glorifies God in some way of like, keep your eye on the prize, and that is God. And
well, Tyson Fury, like he was depressed, wanted to kill himself.
Yeah, we mentioned him in
the last
couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
and even in time, and that's an example of like turmoil as well. Like he's been at the top of his game, but he suffers deeply from depression and probably some sort of bipolar, I guess. But how he can change so quickly from a high to a low.
Do you remember that fight? I think it was 2018 when you first beat Deontay Wilder. They called it like the resurrection. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He gets like knocked flat, bro.
Oh, he is out. Like there's no way. And he's like the Undertaker. Did you ever watch WWE? He's like, he just sits up.
And the commentators were like, he's gone, he's out. And the ref's counting, and he just does the. So most people know who the Undertaker is, man. Of course, he's the goat. He was like my favorite wrestler.
Yeah,
I used to like roll my eyes back when I was young. You know, like, and I was like, bro, this guy's a goat.
But yeah, the list goes.
He did the Undertaker. Well, bro, even like funny enough, like I think Hulk Hogan ended up coming out like.
I watched his documentary.
Yeah, did you watch it? I didn't watch it. I remember listening to. I think he did a podcast with Joe Rogan, and he was just talking about like his Christian faith and that. Is he dead?
Yeah,
he died. Yeah. Okay. But I found it interesting. Like that seems to be the common theme that most like sporting athletes, even later, like usually now we're seeing it during their careers, but all the ones that have retired, they've all kind of lived that life of money, fame, and then they end up coming back to God at the end.
Still looking for something. Something's not filling the.
Or maybe God comes looking for them.
Well, yeah, it's all in time, innit? We've all got different timings, as you and I do as well. But I think it does show that. I think, like I said, the social media thing now makes it more obvious who is a follower of God and a disciple. Like back then, you are relying on, you're probably just watching their event of whatever sport that is, but then like what else do you really know about them unless a newspaper or the news itself on TV told you something, you wouldn't know anything else about them. Like social media now, that is the one way that you find out more information. But then our last example is maybe 2 weeks ago now, the London Marathon. The world record got beaten the first time.
Sebastian Saul.
Yeah, first time under 2 hours. They never thought it would be done. And he is from Kenya, I think, pretty sure. And so the Sunday before the race, he was still back in Kenya with his family and went to the mass as he does every Sunday.
Yeah.
And he stood up during the mass, or after the mass had finished, and asked if everyone would pray for him for the race, and then gets on the plane and then goes there. And then the moment he crosses the line, he drops to his knees, he's doing the sign of the cross, he's giving it all up to God.
Any media coverage on that?
Slight, but not recognising the God element. Just...
I wonder if like it's like if media is like very anti it, or if it's like whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like one of those things they just like they brush over, because we know, bro. Like there is a double standard, which we'll get into later. But that's massive. He was Catholic.
Yeah. So Catholic as well.
So like probably daily communicant, like went to mass.
Yeah.
I guess maybe like what I want to know, like you watch this, right? Like a fair bit. And you've got friends back home that watch it a fair bit. Do you think, as a whole, the push towards faith in these sporting, like these athletes, or whatever, do you think like people get turned off it? Like, does it pull them away from the actual?
I reckon a mixture. I reckon
like, are they like disgusted by it? So I know, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like at one stage of my life, if I was like, I feel like I'd be annoyed by it, you know, knowing how I was at a certain stage of my life before I came to the faith, I'd be like, oh, this is just, you know, I feel like it'd be like a constant reminder of like what I'm lacking and what I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Is there a, I know I asked it kind of slightly before, but is it like, I don't know, like, are people like, are there forums or comments like, stop doing this, or like, you know, like keep religion out of sport?
Yeah, I reckon there's some of that. And I think the general population, they probably just even aren't aware of it. They just, it's a part of their celebration. It's a part of who they are, but without knowing much meaning behind it. And then maybe the people who are more atheist and more against the faith, they probably don't want to see it on their screens all of the time. Probably turn away when it happens. And
yeah, I think I think in relation to like these players, right? Like, I feel like people can draw the conclusion that, okay, well, they all come from Christian countries. You know, it's not that there's like
sort
this
of what we said, Brazil and Africa's and high
But then like I feel like the argument kind of falls on its face, because it's like, they may come from like Christian countries, and a lot of these Christian countries are usually poorer when you see these players coming from them, right? But now they've got millions, and like they're on what, like, who knows what they make in a year, like 200 grand a week or something like that.
Well, some of the top football players
will be on like, you know,
200-300 grand.
And like, I know, I'm assuming Ronaldo's probably some type of Christian or something like that.
Yeah,
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, Cristiano, he's Christian.
And he's on what, like 700 million a year or something.
Brazilian Ronaldo. He's
I'm skinny Ronaldo. You're fat Ronaldo.
He got baptized Catholic.
That's it.
Yeah, after his career, I think like in his 40s, 44 maybe. So,
damn.
Like you were just saying now, like he's been at the height of his game. He won everything. He's probably known as the greatest striker to ever have played the game.
Yep.
But again, I think he always credited Christianity through his career, but wasn't fully maybe baptized, or obviously wasn't baptized. But
and didn't Raheem Sterling get baptized as well?
Yeah, he did. Honestly, a few of the Premier League players recently.
And do they make it public though? That's what I know. Like the
Man City player Doku.
Yeah.
He on his page he's posts about it pretty much every day. But he did like a 6-day series leading up to his baptism, of like the build up to his baptism and what it meant to him, and like interviewing with he's Christian, so I'm not so sure what the person who would have done his baptism for him, but just going through all of that and what it meant to him, what it meant to his family, what it meant to his community. Yeah. So he's proper like publicising the faith. So it's great to see. And again, like we're sort of trying to touch on now, I think people assume that it's just the country they came from. They're from a Christian family, so of course they're going to be Christian and doing this, but it's not the picture for everyone. And some of them maybe came from that, but from like you said, more poverty, or maybe lost their faith along the way, just like some of us would have, or like Maria, my wife, said that happened in an early adult life. And it's for athletes like this, it's so easy to chase the dream. You've been given a set of skills, so you're constantly just thinking about your ability, the money you could be earning. Your agents are just blowing like steam in you, like you're the best, you're going to do this, like this is all because of you. You might score the winning goal in a final, like everyone's idolizing you. So like it's so easy that you could just be wrapped up in that. So some of these examples are like, at that point is when they're like, I need God in my life because I'm doing all of this and life should be amazing, but I feel empty. Or they've had the height and then they've realized how quickly they could crash down. And if you pinned everything on being at your highest, say like Tyson Fury who drops, but like you just mentioned Sterling as well, he was at the height at Man City, one of their most decorated players for trophies, won, and he scored a lot of their goals to help with that as well. And then his career's really tailed off now, and he's still only maybe just about 30 now, so he's still on the younger side and still should have a career ahead of him. But he sort of really dropped off, and he was Christian curious. There was, even in the Man City documentary with Pep Guardiola, there's bits of him like reading the Bible and stuff, but he wasn't baptized. And he got baptized last year, I think.
Awesome.
And he's in like what they call the bomb squad for Chelsea. He's just in the back. He just has to train with like the reserves or the youth team. Like he doesn't even get like in the squad. But it just shows that like this is there to help you when like there's always going to be a point where you're not at your best and things start to go bad. And like I said, if you're pinning everything on that top moment, then the bottom moment is going to be depression. That's when they turn to alcohol, gambling, because they got a wealth of money. So what do you do when you're depressed? You do probably the worst things, all of the sins to try and...
of dopamine and pleasure and stuff
exactly.
like that.
So finding God is the answer at that point for some of them as well. So whether it's at the highest or the lowest, so Doku at the highest, Sterling at the lowest, or there's I was telling you earlier about the American, I think she's a hurdler, 400 meters, but I think she does sprints as well, but Sydney McLaughlin Lavroni, I think her name is, but she, I think, has won like 4 gold medals at the Olympics. I think broken 4 or 5 world records, like really at the top of her game. And she said like she just felt empty when she won some of these gold medals, and in that time found God. And now that she has, it releases the pressure of her performing for herself and knowing that we'll go into this story now as well, but there's the Chariots of Fire story. And she has a part to play with this story as well. I need to get his name up because...
I think it was Eric Liddell. I think, was that it? Was he Scottish or something?
Scottish.
You're telling me about this before.
So this is in 1924. And I'd heard of the Chariots of Fire, but I never really knew what the story was until we did this, again, research. And so, one of the best runners around at that time, 100 metres, 200, 400 metres. And he got to the gold medal race at the Olympics, 1924 in Paris. And the race fell on a Sunday, and especially back then, like Sunday's a day for God, a day for rest, a day for worship.
It was like a whole, culturally and like a part of the time, I assume it was like, because my grandparents would talk about how Sundays was like everyone would close up shop. It was family day. It was a Lord's Day. Everyone had a holy day of obligation. Everyone went to church. All the family met up together. It was like purely a day of rest. No one works. So 1924, he had the same
thing, and then they put the race, the gold medal race, on the Sunday, and he said, "I'm not going to show up then. If that's the case, like, why are you putting it on Sunday?" And they're like, "That's when it's going to be." So he didn't show up to the race, and everyone was like blowing up, like, "How can you not show up? Like, you're the favourite to win, or like one of the favourites to win, and like it's a disgrace to the sport." He was like, "No, this is for
cops and hate for it."
This is for God. Like,
this
isn't about me. This isn't about the Olympics. This isn't about us. Like, and he had also made the final for the 400 meters, which was a couple of days later, and he ended up showing up to that one, and he won the gold medal. And then afterwards, he was literally quoted saying, "God made me fast, and when I run, I feel His pleasure. Win, lose or draw, to run the race well is to glorify Him."
Oh, huge.
So that was literally his acceptance speech, and then combining it back to this Sydney from America, and 100 years later to the day, oh, maybe not to the day, but 100 years later, we're back in Paris, 2024, and she wins her race, and she quotes him exactly the same.
As well.
God made me fast. And
she used the actual quote.
Yeah, she said, God made me fast, and when I run, I feel His pleasure.
Yeah.
It's like, just a full circle moment of full, like, just truly honouring God, but like also knowing her history. Like, how amazing is that she knew that story, and when she won, like that must have been something she had been like reliving for herself, like, because Paris actually was a controversial 2024 for the Olympics.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Didn't they do like
They
a satanic
of the Last Supper.
Yeah. It was like a mockery of Christ and his Last Supper.
So and they banned any writing or anything that publicized the faith during races. You couldn't wear anything, any crosses, they took it all, said now it's all banned. But they actually all got together in the Olympic camps and all held, like, again, Bible studies, prayers, worship during it, and they were like, no, this is all for God, and they all got together. So I think that was then why she came out, because it was a reenactment 100 years later. Whether or not, I don't know why that final got put on the Sunday. I don't know if it was for any reason to say, no, we do what we want. But obviously then 100 years later, there was a lot more of, no, we're not advertising your faith. You can't have it like in the spotlight. So then in all of their acceptance speeches, when they won the medals, all of the Christians, they were all, first thing, this is all for God, glory to God. Jesus did this, not me. Like,
it's honestly like they'll make them reparation. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like for the sins that they that Paris and Brigitte Macron.
That's a whole other episode.
And then there's Tim Tebow. And I was saying, prior, off camera, he had mentioned him to me, and I was like, I think I know him because I listened to like a snippet of the Lila Rose podcast, like an intro, and I remember the John 3:16 thing, which he had written on his face.
Yeah. So this was back in like 2009.
Yeah.
So I knew like of the story of like what we're about to say, but like the specifics of this is 2009. He had like a college championship final, and he wore the 3:16 under his eyes, and from that moment they then again banned any sort of advertising, or they said like black writing under your eyes and stuff. I think they just put it loosely, like just stop sort of putting your own advertisements out there. But yeah, there's probably more behind it than that. So then fast forward 3 years, he's then made the NFL, and they get to the finals, and this is 3 years to the day. And what also happened in that original match was during the match, they recorded like 94 million people researched John 3:16 to understand what that meant. Like they knew it as a Bible verse, but what is the actual thing behind it?
Yeah.
Do you know?
No, tell me.
God loved the world so much he gave his only son Jesus, so that everyone who believes in him will not perish but will have eternal life. So then, like I said, he then makes the finals.
Yeah.
And then he's playing for the Broncos.
Yeah.
Against the Steelers in the playoffs, and then this is then the extraordinary part, because so from that point they haven't been able to advertise, and he has a good match or whatever, and then he's in the corridor waiting for the press, and
after they won.
Yeah. And then someone comes up to him, his manager or someone, and was like, do you realise what you've just done? He's like, yeah, we won. Like, how amazing. He's like, no, do you realise what you've just done? He's like, what do you mean? He was like, I need to read these out because there's just too many.
Yeah.
During the game, you threw for 316 yards. Your yards per completion were 31.6. Your yards per rush were 3.16. The ratings for the night were 31.6. The time of possession of the ball was 31.06. And then again, during the game, nearly 90 million people were looking at John 3:16.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that's God being like, do not mock me.
Yeah.
I feel like that's it's short. That's too much of a coincidence. You know,
Even just one of them things.
I can understand maybe one. I'd be like, I didn't have like 3 or 4.
Yeah, 4 of them, all 3:16.
Yeah. Bro, he would have been freaking out.
Yeah, and then there's
like to know God is that intimately entwined into his life. Like,
he said in his press afterwards, it's like, I gave him my fish and my loaves of bread and just watched what he did with it. Like, it was just like that is just the perfect example of like, you know your faith. I give it all up to God, and it's like what he does with it, he does with it. And in this example, he chose this moment to really let that shine.
Yeah.
So,
well, now we see like in American sport, for example, right? Like faith is
it's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's also like it's linked into like the fabric of the club in the sense of like before they used to have you'd have like your physios, you'd have your specialists and whatever, your psychologists for like your mental thing, and now they've got like chaplains and pastors and whatever. Like they've kind of put this into their
But this, you said recently, but Americans seem to have been doing it for a long time. They're sort of from the 70s.
Oh, really? That long?
Yeah, that was like at a smaller scale, and they started to bring the chaplains in and stuff like that. But then, now they say that on tour with them, like they're going around with them, they're on the coach with them. Before
having like a pastor or a priest there with you, just hanging out.
Before the home matches, like they actually have a whole area where they have a service, and they, especially on weekend or Sunday matches. But this is from everything from NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL. It's like all of these things. It's actually pretty big over there. Like, and we're starting to see it more in England and in the Premier League, which we've spoken about. But it seems like over there without. I don't watch that sport as much, so I felt like you see some of their athletes give it up to God, especially NFL players. I do recall like some of them having it on their helmets, or when they score a touchdown, they sort of whip off their helmets and they're pointing up to God. I actually do sort of recall that, but I don't watch it enough to have like for it to have moved me, or like think, oh, why are all these players Christian or anything like that. Like then moving to the Premier League, we're sort of saying, well, is there now an explosion of Christianity within the league? Because I feel like back in the day, there wasn't as much. And even thinking back to it, the Premier League started in 1992. And I'm pretty sure back then there was only...
1992 it started?
The Premier League.
Really?
Yeah.
What was before that?
It was just called Division 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's still the top league.
They were still top
but they rebranded it as like the Premier League.
Yeah. And I guess back then...
But back then there was only 13 international players. So everyone
across
was...
like all 20 teams?
Yeah. So it was only British and Irish players. So it was like an English league.
Yeah.
So this sort of coincides with, again, what we've said in past episodes, that the Christian faith has been lost in England. They've maybe, definitely lost their faith, especially around them times. I think
and now it's been
the atheist movement was sort of at a high, sort of late 90s into the early 2000s.
Well, I was just scrolling across last night, just coincidentally came across my my Facebook feed. What's that Crystal Palace's Joel Ward's his name? Yeah. And when they won the FA Cup last year, he was he the captain? I don't know, was he the captain?
I think he was the captain.
Or was he leaving or something?
Yeah, I think both. I think he was like the club captain, but I don't think he played much. I think he was sort of on his way out. Yeah. So he was still the captain, but maybe not every game.
Yeah, and he was like talking to his whole squad.
Yeah, I remember which one you're on about. Yeah.
And but I was like taken back. Like I was more taken back by his courage, because he's talking to his whole squad. They had just won
FA Cup.
The FA Cup.
It was their first ever trophy for the club.
Okay, there you go.
Crystal Palace, yeah.
And he stands up and he goes, I'm not like, I just got to say I want to thank, God, because like I'm a man of faith. I'm not here to push anyone. I know some of you may not be a man, that may not read the Bible or pray or whatever. But he goes, one of my favourite quotes is Jeremiah 29:11, where it says, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper. And it goes on, and he goes like, God had a plan for me and a plan for all of you here today. And like, this isn't by accident.
Yeah.
And it happened, and I was like, and I was dead silent, and the camera like pans around to the players, and like no one's like smiling.
No.
And then right at the end, they're like, yeah, and they're all clapping. I was like, I did not expect that reaction.
No.
And I was like, okay, I more just admired his courage, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, because it's hard. It's like that, to be in that position, especially when you got the camera on you, and you've got like, I assume the families and the coach and the whole staff and the club in the dressing room after you've just won, emotions are high.
Yeah.
Some people may look at that and be like, oh, it feels like a bit of a downer, but I just pumped everyone else up more. I was like, bro.
Because before, like we're saying, like the Bible brothers of Arsenal, but last year I sort of had a soft spot for Crystal Palace, because I felt like they were really like some of the players there were really generating that Christian faith and really announcing it, because Eze was playing for them at that point, whereas now he plays for Arsenal. And then they had Gahey, which was centre back, very big for publicising and putting it on his social media about faith. And then obviously Joel Ward as well. But their whole story was getting quite amazing with not winning a trophy. They then won the FA Cup, and then the first match of the next season is the FA Cup winner versus the Premier League winner, which is Palace versus Man City. They beat Man City in that one-off game, so then they won the Community Shield. So like within months they've won 2, and now this year they're now in the final of the European competition as well. Wow. So like in 3 weeks' time they've got a final in Europe as well. So they've gone from literally like being a team that yo-yoed between the Premier League and the Championship to now like a solid Premier League team and winning trophies. And
well, you see it as well in like rugby league here in Australia. You see a lot of like the Pacific Islander players. They all from different teams, or whether it's state of origin or whatever, before the game or even after the game. It's really beautiful. It's like you'll get like 3 players from one team and like maybe 4 from the other. Yeah. Opposition. They're opposing each other all game, like battling it out, bashing each other, like hitting each other hard in tackles. And right at the end, they all come down, kneel on one. They get on one knee, arms in this like circle, embraced, and they all just like pray. And the camera, it's actually really cool because the cameraman always like gets a full hand around it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And they've all like got on their tape on their hands. You said the guy does the shin pads. That's so funny. These guys like they cross like a Bible quote, or they'll cross it with like names of their family. Every time they score, they go, they hold it up to the camera, Sort of touching back to the Premier League, so people were asking, like, is the faith becoming bigger, or is it more in our face, or just weren't we aware of this happening before? But so if we say England has lost its faith in that time, 13 players were foreign, to now I think we have around 60% or more foreign players in the league, in the Premier League. So we've already touched on sort of your Brazils, your South Americas, your African sort of native countries. They're likely to have it in their families and stuff. So those players are now in the league. So they probably were doing it in their respective leagues prior. We just weren't aware of it. So now them coming over is highlighting it more. And I remember even with Liverpool a few years ago, they had a striker called Firmino, and their goalie they're both Brazilian, but his goalie is Christian, and he actually baptized him at his house. Like, really? He invited him over because he wanted to become Christian, and so he was in the height. I think they had just won a trophy. I think they had just won maybe the COVID Premier League during that year, or were about to win it. So he was getting baptized at that point, sort of at the highest of his game, and knew that he needed God at that time. Talking about Liverpool, actually, I wanted to mention this before, but I thought like, nah, maybe not. But it's sad because it's like, do you remember how you're talking about like all these players? It's like, no, it's not me. It's not me who does this. Like, it's God, and like they use that. I was thinking like part of that is like what you see with these players. They're very virtuous and they're quite humble. Like they all come from like quite humble backgrounds, humble families, right? Yeah. But I feel like what they realize and what they recognize is that everything they have can be taken away from them in the blink of an eye because they've grown up with nothing. Yeah. Hence their desire to become, footballers and whatever. But it reminded me of that young Liverpool player who passed away with his brother. What was his name?
Jota.
Jota?
Yeah, Diego Jota.
God rest his soul. And his brothers. And I just thought like, it's crazy because like, how old was he when he died?
26.
26, had a wife, 2 kids or something, or
they just got married like the week before. They were on there, literally. And
the car accident.
That's why they were on that holiday.
And it's like, I think it speaks to something deeper because, like, these players, although they have all this money, all this fame, what they realise is they can't take it with them.
No.
Like, and I think that's their faith. It's we've got this money, God's blessed us with it. What can we do with it? But we also realise where the source comes from.
Yeah.
Right. Like what the source of this fame and this money is. And I reckon that would have been like a big shake up for a lot of like the players, or even just, I remember like one of my mates was like to me, like just so shocked, bro, gone too young, blah, blah. And I was just like, I wasn't really shocked by it because I was like, people die all the time.
Of course, yeah.
It was that thing of like,
It's just
Yeah, you know, like obviously it's hard when people die young. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that there was just this like shock, right? But there was also like, because they're so idolized as like gods themselves.
Yeah.
It's like losing someone. It's like of that stature would have been like, oh my goodness, like the world is shaken. But to push it back to those like players who have faith, like man, like how much easier would it have been for those players? I don't know if Liverpool have any players, but for the ones in the squad who have faith, you know, to kind of get through something like that, like losing your mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can't even. Yeah.
Sorry to be a Debbie Downer, but I was just thinking about that. It's like that whole thing of like the Lord gives and the Lord takes. Blessed be the name of the Lord. You know.
Well, yeah, and it's not similar, but at least something that, looking at a brighter side of a similar situation, is in the NFL as well. I think 2 or 3 years ago there was, I think his name was like Hamlin, but he had cardiac arrest on the pitch during the match. I think a tackle, and it caused his heart to skip a beat or something. It put it into an irregular heartbeat, and he had the cardiac arrest. And in that moment, both teams got around him in a circle and just all got to their knees and prayed for his life. Like, obviously the medics came on and were trying to bring him back, and he survived. Like a week later, he was, I think, released from hospital. But that's not a PR stunt. That's prayer at its most raw. Of we can't do anything for this person except for pray to God that he's going to survive. And like my ignorance, I don't know how many players are on the pitch for NFL, but 20 odd players are on their knees around him, praying in silence, like obviously in silence, probably crying at the same time, whatever. And that was the instinct for everyone. And it's like, that shows obviously, like we said, the Americans seem to have it's deeply rooted in their culture. But yeah, that's kind of like a beautiful scenario of a really bad situation.
Yeah. So why do you think like faith makes athletes better? Or does it make them better?
Well, I've done some research.
You have?
I have. Luckily, I've watched this topic.
So you haven't answered my question?
Yeah, and it was actually, this is probably the most kind of fascinating research I've done. And
so you've gotten into this exact question? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it actually came up with sort of 6 reasons, and we've put it down as the 6 mechanisms of why faith makes the athletes better. So let's go through it. So number 1, like we actually spoke about last week in happiness, it's got that cortisol suppression. So our brains have all of these different emotions, and prayer can help to stimulate it in different ways. So you praying before the match or after the match, or just getting into that mind flow, it helps them to stop the choking. So like your cortisol levels being really high, you're going to be on high, you're spiked, you're a bit antsy, but like you're really like raring to go. You might see a player just come in and fly in with a tackle straight away, like they're just too pumped up, and you can't contain that edge. Like, but you're in front of goal 1-on-1, you got the chance to win it. Jeremy Carboni, shout out. You need
I was thinking of something completely different. I was thinking of Vince Giannini. We versed Inter Lions in our first year.
Yeah.
And the guy, like, was like something like, I don't know, like 10 minutes in, he comes flying up with the most unnecessary 2 legs, like studs up on this to break this guy's leg.
I've heard this.
And he gets an instant red card, and he goes, "What? And we go, "What did you do?" He goes, "I was just so pumped."
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you're referring to? It's just
well, yeah, that's the worst case. But then Jeremy Carboni was the good case.
The good case. He scored the winner in the grand final.
You want to be in that flow state that you got 1 second to quickly think of something, a millisecond, and you need to be at your most calm and collective to execute what you're supposed to do. A penalty kick in the finals or whatever it may be. You need to have that suppressed cortisol, and like we were saying last week with the prayers, and it stimulates sort of the mundane part of your brain. It makes you more relaxed, more calm. Yeah. That level helps. And Adam Peaty, he's I think the best swimmer in England. He's I think the most decorated for Olympic swimming, and he's had issues with sort of mental illnesses and depression, but he puts everything down to his prayer life before and after swimming, and praying while he's in the swimming lanes as well. And like if you look at him after a race, he's not like, sometimes you see someone just want to go, they're all over the place, they can't contain themselves. Like you couldn't even tell. Like he's just so like assured of what he's done, but like he's assured of God is doing something, whether that's for me or for someone else. But like this isn't about me. Like, there's a bigger picture, and thank God that he's allowed me to have my moment right now. So that's mechanism one. Number two is the cognitive bandwidth. So prayer clears the mental noise. So again, similar to what I just sort of said, but if you were to miss that penalty in the final, I remember obviously England v Italy in the COVID Euros, and
I'm Italian.
yeah,
He's English.
I'm part Italian now.
Haha.
Well, make a World Cup and we'll talk, all right?
Shots.
But if you think there was that time, and I think Rashford, Sancho, and someone else, Saka, I think, missed the 3 penalties for England. You need to be the abuse that they got for missing them penalties,
and the racism.
The racism, of course, as well, but just all abuse. And how do you show up and play the next week? How do you show up for your club? How do you show up for England again? Everyone's on your back. The newspapers,
like
yeah, of course, like all mid-20s, young 20s.
No,
Saka would have been like early
20s, bro. Yeah.
Rashford a bit older, but they're ripping into you. Like newspapers are saying, "Never play for England again." Like, what do you turn to if you don't have God? Like, your friends can't really help you. Like, they're sort of a bit like, what can we do? Like, you need something internally.
Your country's essentially betrayed you.
Exactly. Yeah. The one thing you're actually playing for and fighting for, they've all turned their back on you, and like they hate you, like actually hate you. So you've got to find some inner peace, and that's what this is. The cognitive bandwidth is being able to remove the outer noise, focus purely on all eyes on God. Everything I do is for God, and what he gives in return. If this is a lesson, it's a lesson, and if not, like, all praise to God. So that part I think is extremely, and even like the runner we were talking about earlier, the McLaughlin Laverny, she said the exact same thing when she won gold medals before she turned to God and was baptized. But she said prior, like, that state of flow when she didn't win the final, like, just crashed. Like, she didn't want to return to the track again. Like, everyone was on her back for not winning, or like, if she was against Jamaica, they always seem to have the big rivalries. Then America would turn on her, like the whole country again. So that, like, yeah, everyone's so quick to turn on you. There's one person that won't. So again, keep all eyes on him. Then again, sort of what we just touched on, the cognitive reappraisal. So your suffering becomes meaningful. So if we just said, like, the players that missed their penalties, like, if you can find something behind it, does it then make you grow more? Because now you're training harder, you're finding these prayer rituals, and you're turning to something, you're becoming a better player. Like, has something good come from it? Like, can you find the good in the bad? And then there's the example, I won't be able to say his name properly, but the South African rugby player, Kolisi, maybe. But like we said, South Africa, a lot of poverty growing up. He lost his mum really young, but he attributes the loss and the pain to the fight that he then put in for his country and his training to become a top rugby player, and then ended up captaining South Africa to win the 2019 Rugby World Cup. And again, he found the meaning in the suffering that he had for his whole childhood of poverty and no mum. Obviously, terrible situations, but it turned him to be the best player he could possibly be. And this isn't saying that the suffering needs to happen for that, but he said that he found a framework that turned that suffering into a success. And that even goes to the Auschwitz.
Viktor Frankl.
Yeah, if you find a why.
He who has a why will find almost any how. Yeah.
And that's perfectly that. It's like, why did that happen to me? And if you can find the why, then you're going to get through all of the tough times. Mechanism 4, identity architecture. So your worth is not the result. And this is probably what you find with all of the top athletes who are earning more money than we could ever imagine, and being idolized as everyone's favorite player and becoming something bigger than what they are. So being of faith humbles you very quickly, that we fall short of the mark every day. But like, knowing that you're striving to reach the perfect levels of Jesus, it allows them every day to try and better themselves, and they're not getting carried away with 60,000 people in the stadium saying, you're the best, like, score that goal, win the game for us. Like, how easy that would be. Just to imagine if you're Messi and Ronaldo, like, you would be on top of the world. Like
Yeah.
you are the best thing in the world
You're
right
the
now.
pinnacle.
Like, but they turn to faith and they know God's the pinnacle. So, because again, if you think you are that, like you said, the worst case scenario, your life could end very quickly. Everything's gone, or you could be like Sterling. He was at the top of his game. For whatever reason, an injury happens, or you just completely you make the wrong move to a wrong club, and everything suddenly goes south really quickly. Like your identity of being the idol is suddenly gone, and who are you? Like you're a broken person and depressed. So having that identity architecture towards God, again, really big. Mechanism 5, locus of control and resilience. So this is how hard you're training, and if you get too carried away without putting God side by side with it and just saying, if I train harder, I'm going to be the best and do this and do this. Of course, that can happen if you work on it. But if you pair God along that journey with it, you take the pressure off the results of that training. You know, I'm going to show up every day and give my best, but I'm going to let God dictate the journey. You're not fighting for it every day. And again, if you don't make it, then we then fall back to that last part of the identity. You've trained and trained and trained, but then you get nowhere. So then you completely drop off, and then maybe you won't ever make a team again because you've burnt out or whatever it may be. And probably Cristiano Ronaldo is the probably perfect example of this, because I don't think, obviously I don't watch everyone train, but I don't think I know someone that trains harder than he does. He wants his body to be primed every day, like the food and the dietitians he has living with him, and the training and extra training he does every day.
And his recovery.
Like
he realizes it's actually like a biblical maxim, which is like the body needs rest.
Yeah.
You know, and the body needs to recover. So I've seen like videos of him in particular, Danny, where it's like he does like all the cryotherapy and stuff like that, ice baths, sauna.
Yep.
And he's like, my body is a machine. You know, I treat like a machine. I'm doing his accent.
But yeah, he's now like 40, turning 41. Like pretty much every player's retired by that age, let alone like still being towards the top. Of course, he's dropped off a little bit, but like he's still going to be going to the World Cup with Portugal. And
is he like,
yeah. And I'm not going to put it past him that he's going to, he's going to be if Messi shows up as well, I think they're both maybe on the same.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't put it past him scoring the penalty to win a final or whatever it may be. Like he's still there. But like I said, he trains harder than anyone.
Yes.
But he puts God on his journey with him to dictate where that journey leads him to. And for him, it's given him the chance to become the best in the world. So that's to say, if you only think about God and don't train hard and just pray every day, God, please make me the best footballer, like it's probably not going to happen, because you need to match it with that training. And again, if you only train, maybe you'll make it, but there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and how are you going to handle that? If you pair the two together, you train as hard as you possibly can, have God with your journey, there's a good chance the two are going to level you out, and you're going to find your place. And finally, mechanism 6, the final one, is the community part, the religious community, supportive infrastructure. Yeah. And this sort of goes to the Bible brothers of Arsenal, like we were saying, how close-knit that team now is. Win, lose or draw, they're going to have each other's back. They're going to fight as a team. They've got a community. They're not going to lash out of each other. Like I said, we're all men. We're going to have moments where we're heated and things get the best of us. But I'm sure they're going to have mechanisms to turn that into something, rather than like the next day they're going to be all cool again. The prayers before, the prayers after, the social community together is just going to bring them together like a family, and that's going to be a lot stronger bond than a team of individuals. Any sport, we know that would be the case. Any career, like. So with all of that,
do you think is there one for you? There's one for me that stands out, but is there one mechanism for you that stands out the most, that you kind of feel like would be the most important?
I think the suffering.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible to go through a career, especially in sport, without loss and without downtimes, missing a penalty, getting injured. Maybe a team doesn't renew your contract. Maybe you're always on the bench. Like there's always moments where suffering can happen. And if you don't have something to give that to, then you are just going to drop, and like who's going to be there to pick you up? Maybe
that's a really good one. That wasn't the one I picked.
But what would yours be?
Mine would be like mechanism 6, like the whole community part.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like I think we spoke about it. Was it last week? last episode about like we're built for community. Was that last? Was it that one?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Anyways,
Yeah.
I feel like, especially in faith, like being a part of a church, for example, like because we are like a communion of believers, we all hold each other accountable, and like we all correct each other, but at the same time, the reason it happens is because those who believe the same thing that you do love you and they want what's best for you, and that's what love is, to will the good of the other person. And again, like the same thing, it's kind of like this. It's like a psychological architecture, like it's being designed for success.
Yeah.
Like that 6-step thing. Like, that's the first time I've heard that.
I know. Like, I wanted to do this episode since day one. We said it in the first podcast.
Yeah, and it was actually requested by someone.
And it was. Yeah. I never knew there was this much depth to the episode. I was more just curious of like, in honesty, like I've got a lot of friends that I'd love to be within the faith, and football is their religion. Mm-hmm. So I was like hoping there was some way that like, hey, look, all of the players that you really love and you support, they're Christian. Like, why do you think that?
Yeah.
And I thought maybe it could just be a bit of us kind of guessing our way. But when I've been doing the research, this episode has actually shocked me with some evidence of why we consider it a religion to be. Like, we actually just say it all the time. Football's like a religion.
Yeah, it's like,
and it's like, we all nod along and we're like, yeah, it is. Yeah. But like, so then I was like, why? Like, why do we say that? And I sent you this the other night and I was like, this blew my mind because the similarities are just...
Well, it blew my mind more because like we had said that exactly what you just said. Like, we say it in such a passing way. Like,
it's just one
football's a religion. Like, they worship football, whatever. Like, I say it, I love football, right?
Yeah.
But I'll get you to explain like what you sent me, because when I was like, bro, the similarities. And Jordan Peterson actually said this too. When he goes like, what people don't realize is like, oh, I'm an atheist. It's like, oh, you love sport, yeah. It's like, well, that's a belief. Like you believe so highly in that thing, and it's a religious practice. And going to a sporting game is actually a religious experience. And then he goes in, and I'll get you to explain it why. But yeah, go to read out what you sent me.
Oh, I wish I actually had the message up that I sent you word for word, but it was just basically showing...
I'll pull it up, bro. Don't worry. Okay, keep going. Just explain it while I'm having a look.
So we sort of say it, and if you actually break down point by point of what we do when we're at the football stadium and how we interact with the crowds and everything like that, the similarities between going to a mass and going to the church and going to the stadium to watch your team play are pretty much like you could say the same thing for both, and you'd be like, yeah, that's what we do there.
Well, you go. I'd never thought about the similarities to watching football in a stadium to being in church. I just mean this whole chapter as a whole. Why do men paint their faces, sing together, share a liturgy of chants and rituals, gather in the same building at the same time every week, and organise their lives around this? Because the human heart was made for worship. When legitimate worship is removed, the impulse does not disappear. It attaches to whatever is available.
And literally, as I was writing that and reading that, my mind was like...
And then I'm like, wow, bro, that's so similar to church, eh? You're like, it's actually crazy.
I was literally
when we go to the games, we're like, oh, we're standing up, we're sitting down.
You're all singing the same chants together.
You're singing the chants,
You're arm in arm with your brothers.
You're doing, like, every time there's a goal, you're like, high five, it's like, peace be with you. Yeah, boom,
And like you said,
you're walking there with your hot dog.
And that is what it is. And this goes to what we were saying last week. Our bodies were made for worship and to worship our Creator. And somewhere along the line, we lost that, and sport has been included and really pushed into, especially men's lives, but everyone's lives. Was that a distraction? I don't know. But within that, they have literally copied everything we would do at a church mass. Except for putting Jesus at the front of it. They've put players there, which we've already said we idolise. We idolise like our worshipper, which like our prophet ourselves. And
well, about like 3 billion people watch football, right? Like it is the most. It would be the most
watched sport
in the world. Probably the most famous sport in the world.
Especially the World Cup would be the most watched event in the world.
And it's a global sport, right?
Yep.
And yeah, just to think of that, like imagine we had 3 billion people in churches on Sunday.
But then if you even think outside of the stadium, the same still applies when you go to your pub. The TV screens have been positioned perfectly for us to pretty much worship the TV. But again, we're in the same chants. We've got the liturgy of the chants. We got the cheers. We got the celebration. We got the peace be with you. We got the high fives.
Well, it reminds me of a Saint Augustine or Saint Augustine.
Yeah.
Where he says like our hearts are restless until it rests in God, right? And then like I love what we've got here, right? Because how much before we started filming this, we're going through our notes, and this one thing in here just cracked me up. I was like, because this is like every time I go watch a game, whether it's watching like Helston Park play or watching your football team. I remember at Vic on the Park watching Broncos versus Storm I think it was last year, bro. When I mean like I was like biting. I'm a Broncos supporter, so I was biting my nails. And it goes the restlessness of the football fan, the obsession, the heartbreak, the disproportionate emotional investment in something they cannot control. And it goes, it's not bad in itself. It's just aimed slightly wrong, right? Mm. And then like Augustine or St. Augustine's like restlessness finding the nearest available object. And that's what it's almost like the soul does not rest until it rests in God. But the soul by its nature and the person by its nature is ordered towards something higher than itself. Mm. And like football is put towards that pinnacle.
Yeah.
You know, I remember like, remember when you're young, like all you did all week was look forward to playing Saturday, playing soccer on Saturday or going to training because like everything revolved around that like 90-minute game and you knew people were watching you, you know, which isn't a bad thing in and of itself because sports, again, are good to be enjoyed. It's healthy for you, but we can kind of make an idol of it, I find.
Of course, and I definitely did. And I said that again on a previous one of like, with playing FIFA and listening to podcasts on sport.
Did you bite your remote when you played
smashed
FIFA?
It if I lost. Like, and this is the thing, because we're idolizing and putting, we're doing the exact same worship towards something as we should towards God. Yep. But there isn't really like that end goal to satisfy us because obviously when you win, you're on a high, but there's going to be a lot of times when you lose and you're very, very low at that point, and it's like destruction to everything that you care about. And like there'll be weeks you don't even want to watch the match anymore. Like your world's been flipped upside down. It might have ruined your whole weekend. You might have lost loads of money because you went and traveled to a match or something. Like we're putting it all on something that isn't tangible, and apart from a little bit of entertainment here and there, that there's nothing wholesome that we get out of it either. So it is the exact same word for word. You could say it matches up with what we should be doing in a mass. Except for it's missing the one key component, which is God. Which is what they're all kind of bringing back into it now. Yeah, and exactly. And that's what the players are helping us to do. And they're... Oh, bro, that's across all sports, but... Yeah. You know? I guess like the Premier League and like football in general, it's the most watched. So but across all sports, man, it is huge, you know? Yeah. And do you, like... There's obviously like a battle between success and struggle, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess we can say like there's both sides to sport. And I think what you're not saying is that like all sport, and you touched on that earlier, about like injury, failure, rejection, hurt, depression, slander, addictions. Like them being excluded, right? Especially like new players coming to teams and whatever. Talking about like the downside of like, talking about the downside of sport, like talking about the upside of faith in those times, because we touched on it briefly before, right? Yeah. Like you mentioned injury and stuff like that. Yeah. Right? Why do you think, or where do you think, like, and you mentioned it in the mechanisms as well, but like, where do you think faith kind of comes in to help like those struggling athletes? Yeah, I think the most simple thing, again, we've mentioned it before, but the cross. You've got the cross, and Jesus showed us the perfect way to suffer for each other and for ourselves. He died on the cross for us, and like we said in our mass, in our offering, we're offering up our cross to Jesus to help lift us in moments where we're weak or in moments where we need the help. So we have that as a mechanism internally in us now, and we know our journey isn't all about us. There's a bigger picture. So when you can get rid of all of these mechanisms I mentioned earlier, like the noise, the depression, the thoughts that I need to be idolized, like once you remove all of that and strip it back, you're just a normal person trying to strive to be the best perfect version of yourself, as close to Jesus as we can. But you've been given a gift which you hopefully can be able to honor God with. And that's all that these athletes especially are trying to do. And when they have the moments where unfortunate things happen in their lives, that the mechanism is the cross to pick them up and know that hopefully there is going to be another day for them to turn to. And maybe they've already had their moment, and maybe they had a shorter career, but they did what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Maybe they got something else, a bigger picture afterwards that they don't even know about. But we spoke about these athletes. You got your Tyson Furies. I said that Adam Peaty, the swimmer, Sterling at the moment with being in the bomb squad. Yeah,
What's the bomb squad?
Oh, sorry, for Chelsea. Chelsea bought 50 players sort of over a couple of years, and obviously you can only have like 20 in your squad.
Yeah.
And they have all these top players that they've just rejected, and they've called the bomb squad. So they've just like chucked them out to the reserves and
detonated, exploded, out you go.
You don't even know about them, you don't see them, you don't hear about them.
Yeah.
They're just out in the back training with the youth team or whatever. But even a couple of years ago, at the Tokyo Olympics, you had Simone Biles. We touched that.
She's a gymnast.
Yep.
Yeah.
The world's best
gymnast,
the best ever, maybe. Yeah. She withdrew from the Tokyo Olympics because of mental health. She was like, I'm not in a good headspace. There's something bigger than me. Like, this isn't all about me. But she was the poster girl for America, especially at the Olympics. She was probably due to win 3 gold medals I'm not too sure, but a lot of gold medals. And I think she sort of said the pressure's got too much for me, and this isn't going to be good for me, and shouldn't be about me. Like, she, from a faith point of view. So she was like, I'm withdrawing. I need some time off, and if I come back, I come back. And then she did come back and won at the Paris 2024.
That's mad.
And it's like, how brave you must be to be like the poster girl, especially for like America, like how patriotic people are about America. Like, everyone was slandering her. Like,
she got hammered.
You're a disgrace. Like, you're supposed to be X, Y, and Z. Yeah. We pay for this, and like whatever the abuse may be, probably racist as well. Like everything. She would have got all of that, but she knew that there was something bigger and that this wasn't just about her. So she took all of that on her shoulders and put it up to God, and she came back and won.
Has there been a time in like your life where you felt like I don't know, in like whether it's your training now, like even before faith, where like you were kind of just lost? Like, did you ever sustain a big injury or anything like that where you're like, like, I don't know how to bounce back from this? Like, looking back, do you think if you had God in your life, you could have had something different?
Definitely, because in a prior life, like I said, I've always been a singer, but I was also a dancer. So like dancing a lot more, obviously relying on my body. So injuries mean that you obviously
were you dancing like 5, 6, 7 days a week? Like
some jobs, yeah. And then on the cruise ships and stuff. And I had a big injury on one of my cruise ships. I had to leave. I think I left for like 4 to 6 weeks maybe on this cruise. And
because you had an injury?
Yeah. I had to go home and get x-rays and scans and get it all fixed, but I couldn't stay on the ship. So definitely felt at a low point at that time that I felt like I was letting my team down. I was also like gutted for myself and felt like it might have hindered my future career. I actually, at the time, it was a really obscure injury as well. So we weren't sure what the options were either. I didn't know what the recovery time was. It was something that was like, we need to just see how this goes. So there wasn't like an end date to like if you do your hammy, they're like 4 weeks, you'll be okay, or whatever it may be. Yeah. This was sort of just like an open-ended. So every day was uncertainty. So that was without faith. And then maybe an example, last year I did a fitness event, High Rocks. I came to your barbecue that night, remember?
That's right.
I tore my hamstring during the race.
And you walked in, Did
someone say barbecue?
Yeah. We had a joke and we told all the boys, we said when Dan walks in and whatever he says, just do not say anything.
Ignore him.
Just ignore him.
Thanks,
and
Dario.
That was the Dario's, yeah. And then Dan walks into the backyard and the first thing he goes is, are we having a barbecue? And everyone just went.
But then burst out laughing because you're like, why is he so extra?
Why is so? And then
you thought I was just going to be like, you right, boys?
Yeah, that's it. We just see you like with like you had strapping around your hamstring and like limping. We're like, sit down, we'll feed you. Come on. Hey, and that comes down to the mechanism of community, right?
Exactly.
You had 10 people there being like, bro, and I remember you actually you were like pretty. I don't know if you were tired, but you looked very cut.
Yeah.
Because I think you were in like exceptional shape.
Yeah, I was in good.
Like you were ripped, you were like pumped.
Yeah.
And then
I thought I was going to sort of get a real.
And you also probably felt like you were representing your gym, I assume.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and for myself as well. Yeah, like competition wise, I thought I was going to be in the top sort of percentile for that one.
Look,
Yeah,
I
and it
really
wasn't-
thought when I asked you like what moment for you was like the worst one.
Oh no.
I thought you were gonna say
Oh,
that.
my ribs.
Yeah. So if you remember, I think it was episode 1 when we did, well, maybe episode 1, episode 2.
To
when
my
we met.
testimony, maybe. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who maybe haven't watched that, Dan actually broke his ribs in the first game he played for the team. And like in subsequent matches, we would always go down, like we had like a squad of 20 players, you know how everyone is, working, relationships, kids, whatever. No one could play. So we had, in this one particular game, we had 10 players. And me being the responsible manager, I called Dan and I said, Dan, I know you've got 2 broken ribs.
Responsible, yeah.
But we've got 10 players and we need an 11th man. And that was in 2022, I think, bro. Was it? I'm like, was it 2022? I think
21, I reckon.
21?
Yeah, it was still like COVID time. It was still like
okay, I said it was 21.
loose lockdown laws.
And I was like, can you play? And he's like, oh, like the doctor said, like I could puncture a lung and like, I could die. And I'm like, it's worth the risk. It is so worth the risk, bro. Like we need the 3 points. We can't do this without you. And he's like, I don't think you understand what I'm saying, Dad. Like I could die. I'm like, you won't die. And I'm like,
We won't let you die.
can you imagine what would happen?
God.
You know?
But that's what
Bro,
brought us all together.
I actually did that in the grand final with another one of the boys. He had a massive concussion. Like, bro, rattled. Like, he got up and he was like going left.
You can't be the one to talk to
I
people.
know, and this is why I had to leave managing because I was the most irresponsible manager. But no, he's like, I can't see straight. I'm like, 45 minutes left of the grand final, bro. Put it in. He's like, I can't. And the ball comes. He headers the ball.
Oh yeah.
He had this ball. And
Yeah.
he's like wobbling. I'm like, stay up, blockies. And he comes off, bro. You can't even shake anyone's hand. And I'm like, I think that was worth it. Talking about bad times, they were bad times, but great times came from it. Now we know also, bro, like the amount of double standard. See, that is me being. That's a double standard,
Yeah.
right? I'm a Catholic who's supposed to care for the well-being and the welfare of those who are sick, and I did the complete opposite because I cared more about winning. Pride, selfish. I know. I'll go to confession. But now that like there is a double standard when it comes to, I think anyway, like faith. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, tell me, like, do you remember what game was that? Remember when they had the icon of our Lord in the stands?
Yeah, it was I think a Europa game or something, but it was Red Star Belgrade.
Yeah.
So they had, I think we call it like the Tifo, but
Tifo,
like
yeah.
the big banner, but like.
And that refers to like when like everyone has like a card and if you look
flip
like
it and then,
like a bird's eye view and then it looks over and then there's an image that appears.
But check out this one because the whole side of the stadium just.
What would they type in? They type in like Jesus icon Tifo or something. If you want to have a
Red Star Belgrade or type in the controversy that we're about to say because they got fined 40,000 euros for displaying that, and then. There was then another example of Lille, the French club.
And that was UEFA that fined them?
Yep.
Which is like the governing football body
of European football. And then Lille, again, had a similar situation. They had, I don't know if it's like the French patron, but the Joan of Arc. I don't know if it's something to do with France. Again, they had the Tifo of Joan of Arc and they got some sort of fine and ban as well. Oh yeah, so it says 82,000. So double 82,000 because it displayed...
That'll be 82,000 euros.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And with them, they had like the message along it with like, God is with us. And
and UEFA fined them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then...
What for? Was it like the messaging can't?
Yeah.
Like it's like...
Inappropriate messaging, for the sport. We're not dealing with politics. And
But then like the double standard on the flip side was, wasn't there another game, like a satanic star?
In the German league, they had the
pentagram?
Pentagram.
Yeah.
And then literally like Satan. like
like a big devil image.
Yeah, it was a huge devil image and they had like the red flares and smoke coming up.
Yeah.
Like hugely satanic.
Yeah.
And then Latin words underneath reading, hear us Lucifer and rise from the abyss, take our souls. In Latin underneath that.
That was in the Tifo. Like that you could... Did they get fined?
Nothing.
All good. You say all good?
All good.
Oh, bro.
No fine, no investigation, no.
And that is the double standard.
Of course.
Can I you know what?
Tell me.
I feel like if I was in that situation, like
leave the stadium.
Yeah, I think I'd have to leave.
I'd have to now.
Yeah, or I'd be like on my knees doing like
The rosary.
doing the rosary, or like making some form of reparation, to like make atonement, like for the sins of the world, man. Like that would be like
forgive them for they don't
know what they do.
Yeah, but
some do know.
It goes back to the biggest lie the devil ever told was making people think he doesn't exist, and like it is that. It's like we can't really spell it out enough that it's clear in plain sight, and I'm sure we'll have episodes in the future if we think about some of the big scandals that are happening in the world right now. They're hugely satanic, and you see the practices happening around the world within it as well. And
well, you mentioned the Paris Olympics, right?
Yeah,
like that was a clear one,
of course.
And I think that
and
was
they're deliberately doing it to mock Jesus. That's the thing as well.
Yeah, and then
they're actively trying to mock Jesus.
Yeah.
It's not just being obviously satanic's bad on itself, hugely bad. But
it wasn't like a trans, like that was like
trans
wasn't
Jesus.
Jesus like a trans or something?
It was like
and then
a fat guy in like
Yeah.
just a loincloth, and just everyone just like gluttony, just like spreading cake over their face.
And then they said
someone was like blue. I remember like a blue character.
And then they lied and said, "Oh, we weren't. That had nothing to do with the Last Supper." And like
it was like 12 of them along a big table.
And then I remember the parallel image of like the actual Last Supper, like the image, and then like that it was like, bro, you cannot. And this is the thing. Is like people want you to believe like there's nothing going on and it's stupid, and sometimes I think the further we pull away from like a Christian society, the more blind we actually become. Because like people will try and justify it as best and as much as they want, right? Like they'll bring it to like I don't know, they'll probably say like, oh no, like they actually didn't mean it, it never happened, and you're like, bro, like it's right before your eyes.
But I think this is the thing when you come to faith, and what's the expression of like this, removing the scales from your eyes.
Yeah. Like when St. Paul had his
until you have that moment. Like I would have been the same. Like 2 years ago, I would have seen it and been like, I don't even know what I'd have thought. I'd have been like, whoa, like they've gone into so much effort to like make this thing come alive. I don't think I'd have saw it and been like, oh, that's pretty demonic. But like now you're seeing it and all this stuff happening, you're just like, this is like just crazy. But like the one good thing that will go back to the players is that they can keep fining the clubs for like that sort of behaviour, but the players are ultimately the thing that we are watching. And if they're expressing God after every time they score and they're constantly pointing to God and offering everything to God, they're slowly getting that message through. So they're being great disciples through the skills that they've been blessed with. And hopefully the end goal is that they can help a huge, like we said, 3 billion people watch football.
Especially young kids, because young kids idolise players.
Of course.
So you can imagine their celebrations.
Like I said, when you watch your kids at the park and they're doing this, you're like, do they know what they mean, or are they copying Eze?
Like, you go to your local thing and there's like a 6-year-old going like...
Eze's doing his like cross it to the camera. You start seeing people...
But you know, like we're like talking about the double standard. Like, isn't it crazy how like UEFA will fine the fans for holding up a combined icon of our Lord. Yeah. But then they won't fine the players for going on their knees, praying, doing the sign of the cross or whatever. It's a massive double standard, bro.
Yeah.
You know? And then they won't fine them for having Satan and give us... Did he say give us your souls? What? Can you read that again? What?
Yeah, it said...
What did it say?
In Latin it says, hear us, Lucifer, and rise from the abyss. Take our souls.
Take our souls.
Like... Do these people realise what they're asking? Like, you want to go down to hell with these guys?
Did they lose that game? You don't know.
I don't care about that team.
Jeez, man. Jeez. So, yeah, man. Do you, like, looking back on your career now as a performer, do you kind of feel like when you were performing, like, do you have any regrets about, like, I don't know, like, do you feel like you like knowing what you know now in relation to your performances, do you think like, oh, I know we don't like to look on the past, but do you sometimes feel like, oh, if maybe I had this perspective back then, maybe my life would have been different, or not really? Do you kind of feel like your life played out the way it had to play out, and God's providence kind of worked its way through?
Obviously, we all have hindsight, and I think if I had these mechanisms back then, my career would have been a lot different, because I think knowing who I am now and like how at peace I am with who I am, what my skills are, what I can provide. Back then, as a younger guy, I was just a bit more nervous. So when it came to like auditions and getting to the finals for things, maybe I would buckle under the cortisol spike and stuff like that. Like that pent up energy wasn't good for me. But that being said, obviously my path has been played out, and to be where I am now is it's the journey I was meant to be on, because now where I am and the difference I have in performing now is just crazy, because I always enjoy performing, but there's always the stress as a singer that your voice isn't going to hold out. And that would always play on my mind so much. And obviously I'd feel like a failure if my voice cracked during a song, or it just didn't feel strong, if I wasn't sure if I was going to finish the show because I was so fatigued, or vocally I was sick, or whatever it may be.
Especially when you're doing Jersey Boys.
Yeah, or any of them. But now, like, this is sort of what we're saying, like the prayers beforehand, I'm putting it up to God. And there was a moment that I was becoming so sick before every show, and I just truly wasn't sure why. And I think it was because of a past job that it was just making me ill. But in that time I was really busy with gigs as well, and I was just like, why am I constantly getting so sick? Like, I can barely get through the shows. Like, I'm really struggling.
It's not like you were nervous before, which put you down, because you're a very confident performer.
Yeah. And I was just like, so I started to pray on it. I was like, God, like, you're giving me these skills, but like, is this a sign that this isn't for me? Like, do you want something else from me? Is this career maybe not worthy of the journey you want from me? I started to pray like that, and then progressively I was feeling stronger in the shows. And I was like, okay, like, there's not a clear and obvious sign. Like, I was thinking, like, maybe if that was the case, then yeah, my voice would just completely go, like, cut out. I can't even sing that night, maybe. And then now I'm sort of trying to follow that same rhythm of prayer, especially the day or two before the show, and then pre-show, just go into some prayer.
Yeah.
God, if it's in your will, let me perform to the best of my ability tonight. Allow, like, I try and wear my cross out, especially if I'm just in casual clothes while singing. I'm like, God, I'm glorifying you through this performance. People are going to see people always say how happy I look when I'm on stage, how energetic I am. So I'm sort of in my prayer, like, God, people can see the joy that this brings me, and if this can then help them to bring them to you through seeing my enjoyment, knowing that I am of faith, if that's how you want me to preach, then allow me to be at my best tonight. And honestly, especially 2026, I feel like this is the most consistent and the best I've ever sang, like, night in, night out. For every different band I perform with, I feel in my A game, haven't been sick. I feel like I'm not, like, stressed about the show. I feel so at peace. So I'm just like, there's something there. And obviously it goes through the mechanisms we've spoken about, because I'm sort of ticking off all of them boxes. Even in the community, I'm talking to people, and I'm having really fruitful conversations with some of the members of the bands as well. Just all of it together then allows me to be at my best when it comes to the performance. And yeah, it actually feels amazing.
I feel like I can see that there. Like, even when I actually stumbled across a video, it was like a short of you at the Des Moines Sailing Club on Anzac Day performing, and bro, I was laughing because you went into the crowd with the microphone
Straight away, first song.
Was that the first song? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I just saw a short. You went
I was
in,
like, let's get everyone up and dance.
and there was this older lady, and she was just like, go, yeah. She was like getting so excited. You ran in there, and you're like, and bro, your voice was like impeccable. And I was laughing because, like, you had the two female singers either side of you, and they were just like more casual. And I'm like, bro, damn, that, like, I wonder what song, and they just said it's the first one. So, bro,
All night long.
was that the song?
Yeah. But Maria came to watch that show, and there was a lady stood in front of her, and I think she realised Maria was with me, but she was like, "Oh, is he Christian?" Like, because she saw my necklace, and then Maria was like, "Yeah, he's Catholic," and then she's like, "Oh, he just looks so happy up there," and like, even so, like, that was an interaction, and that was towards the faith, and who knows where that conversation. I don't know. I didn't see this lady myself, but what that thought may have then helped her with something. Like, this is what we just never know. Like, and this is why we need to be like the best disciples we can be, and we don't know who's watching us at what point, and what just the tiniest thing for us could be the biggest thing for them,
For someone else, yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
And it reminds me of one of my mates, Vince, whom you know as well. He said, like, he called me one day and we're just talking. He's like, bro, he's like, you know what's crazy? I said, what? He goes, when, you know, we're called, like, even in the midst of suffering, to be joyful Christians.
Yeah.
Like, we always have to be joyful.
Yeah.
And not in the sense of like, let's pretend and be fake and happy when we're sad. No, he's like, let people know you're Christian by your joy, you know,
Yep.
for the hope that you have within you. And I've always tried to live by that. Like, now and sometimes you kind of like, you feel...
There's always them days, yeah.
And when you're around people, you feel like you just want to rant and complain and feel like a bit sulky, you know? And there's always a time for that too. But it just reminds me that it's like, it goes back to that, like she saw you genuinely joyful, but the cross was the symbol, right? Like, and that in itself is like a paradox. Joy and then the cross where she's like suffering, you know? It's like, like I wear this on my thing knowing that I will suffer, but I'm joyous and I give. And it's like you're giving everything back to God. And that's but just by the cross, you were a witness. And that's to tie it all back, like it's exactly what the soccer players are doing, exactly what these sports stars are doing. It's like through singing, the cross, through sports, the cross, everything in the midst of it, like is tied back to the cross. And it's like, we will suffer, God entered it. We know it's unavoidable. We're going to enter it with him and God's going to bless us in our suffering. And in return, we're going to bless God and glorify him. So if you were to tell people now, right, to bring it back full circle, if you were to tell people, like, what would you want people to take away from this episode? Like,
if we're thinking about like literally back to the start of the episode, we're sat at the pub with the mates and Arsenal have just won the Premier League. Eze scored the winning goal. He's all glory to God. And at that moment, don't turn away. Understand what his message is. I think we see celebrations as just a moment of joy because you've done something exceptional for yourself, but they're trying to tell you to the camera, like, this isn't me, this is all glory to God. They're literally doing that, and they're trying to express a message to you and the other 3 billion people watching that TV at the same time. Try and take it in. Don't have that moment as cheering yourself. Like this weekend when it happens, take it in. Understand that how many players are actually saying, this isn't about me, like you're idolizing me, but no, this is for God. See if this weekend you can watch the match and is one of your favorite players doing it, or one of the teammates of your favorite team doing that. And if you're in the stadium this weekend and you're all chanting together and you're all brothers in arms and you're all doing the liturgy of chants and idolizing something, take that in. And do you enjoy that feeling? And if so, like, we have something every Sunday where you can feel that way, and it's really going to point to something even greater than your team winning the Premier League.
And what we have on Sunday is supernatural, not natural.
Yeah.
So we're heaven meets earth, and sometimes you'll feel like you're in heaven when you're in like a stadium and your team wins and whatever. But then you're back to work on Monday with the hangover, with the loss and everything else, and you know, doesn't seem to be. It's kind of like it fades. You know what I mean? Of course, yeah. It fades until the next week, and
because then like the summer comes along. Obviously, we've got a World Cup this summer, but suddenly 2 months of no football, and you're like, oh, what do I do with my life? Like, I'm so bored. There's nothing to watch.
Yeah.
Like, you've got suddenly a huge void in your life, and you're like, oh, what do I do? Like, you boys, you got no Italy in the World Cup, so like, you got nothing to support.
Hey, we got Australia, don't we? We're Aussies at heart, aren't we?
So guys, let's leave it at this, because
we'll leave it at that, man.
Tebow, he said, I just gave God my fish, my loaves of bread, and let him do his thing. And I think with that, we just say, step out, be bold, and see what happens.
God will bless you. He'll multiply the loaves, he'll multiply the fishes, and you'll have everything in abundance.
Exactly, everything you need.
But I love that. That was good.
What an episode.
It was good, man. I'm glad I actually didn't do all the talking this time, so I'm glad.
Yeah, I know, I'm like...
I'm usually a yapper, and this guy, like, he knows 10 times more about sport than I do. So...
a lot of pressure on me today.
I'm glad. So, guys, I'm Dan, the Godfather.
I'm Dan, the Godson.
This is the Greatest Stage podcast.
This is the greatest stage.
And we hit 70 subscribers. Can we get... Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we want to...
75 we're at.
75?
Yeah.
Look, I reckon we can get 25 more.
100.
I think 25 more. Share it around. Ask your friends. We love yous. We love doing this. And we're going to catch you next week for another one. Take care. Say Michael the Archangel. Pray for us.